Hello, and welcome to Aviation 101 with Laura. I'm excited to be back with another video, there's been a bunch, about Task C, weather observations, analysis, and forecasts. This is my ongoing series where we are talking through a simulated aircraft dispatch oral exam where I'm asking questions like an examiner might and then giving potential answers, like hopefully you are, so that you can practice. And I also have a version that's available with no answers so that you can just practice and pretend it's like your exam. Again, disclaimer, I cannot predict what your oral is going to be like. No idea, but I am just trying to help you by talking through various scenarios and questions that you might get asked relating to this task. Now, before I get into the video, I just want to announce that I turned on channel memberships from YouTube because people have asked before, like, how can you support the channel and my work? And have asked about Patreon and this kind of thing. I don't have Patreon. I looked into this. Actually, I found it seems that for what I do as a content creator, that YouTube memberships, channel memberships would be a better option. Let me serve you guys better. So you might want to check that out on my channel. I will put a link in the video description how you can join, but basically you will get videos immediately available once I publish them. You don't have to like wait for my bi-weekly or weekly posting schedule. And even more cool, maybe, we are going to be having monthly member live streams for members only where we can interact. It is going to be once a month and all the details are on my channel, but it's a live stream that we can directly interact. And I hope that that is enjoyable to you guys. So, and there's some other perks, but check it out on my channel. So yeah. Okay, without further ado, we're going to continue with Task C, which I got into the last time, and we got through a lot of this, so check out the other two videos that I was talking about, but we did not get into NOTAMs, we did not get into field condition reports, volcanic ash advisories, air mets, some prog charts, some low-level significant weather prog, but that's where I'm going to be focusing on with this video here. So, okay. Let's start with field condition reports. Again, I'm just going to be the examiner, but I will show you how to find a field condition report. You're going to find it in the FAA's NOTAM search. How I found an airport that would have a field condition report is I just looked at aviationweather.gov to look at where there's current precipitation happening and then picked a largish airport in that area. So today happens to be some precipitation going on in and around Birmingham, Alabama. So I just searched for Birmingham when I do the little location search. But so let me go ahead and I will now pretend to be the examiner. I'm going to go down this very big list of NOTAMs. We'll talk about multiple ones of these, but here we have a couple of field condition NOTAMs, and we will be talking through these. So yeah. So tell me about field condition NOTAMs. What are those issued for? Okay, a FICON or field condition NOTAM, these are issued when we have some kind of contamination on the runway. By that I mean water, the runway is wet, the runway has ice or snow, making it anything less than a dry runway. So that is what is going on here at Birmingham. Given looking at the radar, you can see that it has been raining in the area, so the airport has been issuing field condition NOTAMs or FICON NOTAMs. Okay, so read this first field condition NOTAM for Birmingham. Okay. Awesome. So this header just says it's for Birmingham. It's July 7th month. It's the 138th NOTAM of the month. It is for Birmingham, Alabama, runway 24. It is a FICON report, field condition, and it's a NOTAM. 555. These are codes saying what is the current condition, like how contaminated. There's a runway contamination analysis matrix. 5 just means that it is a wet runway, but there's nothing like, it's not like fair or poor or nil breaking. the braking action is good with a 5, but it is a wet runway. Okay. The reason that we have 5, 5, 5 is it's the first third, the middle third, and the last third of the runway, or basically touchdown, midpoint, and then roll out part of the runway. So 5, 5, 5, and then it says it's 100% wet, and that was observed at July 24. That's today, the day I'm recording this anyway, at 17:39. So July 24 of 2026. And this NOTAM is in effect from July 24, 2026 at 17:39, and this time is in UTC. And it is in effect for 24 hours, so and through July 25 of 2026 at 17:39 UTC. Okay, cool. What would it be for a FICON code if the runway had nil braking? Nil braking, they use the code of 0, actually. So it would, if it was an entire runway, nil braking, 0, 0, 0. Okay, would you dispatch a flight to a runway with nil braking? Okay, that's a good question. I would have to look at my airline's operations manual and see if we're even allowed to dispatch. Many airlines don't allow dispatch to a runway that has reported nil braking. There could be some parameters, like depending on how old the field condition report is, but that would be an operator specific, and we could talk about it for our specific airline if you wanted to go into that. Okay, all right, let's read some other NOTAMs here. How about this one? Same for Birmingham, and then we'll look at another airport. Tell me about this NOTAM here. Okay, well, once again, it's for Birmingham, Alabama. This came out, it's a NOTAM during the month of July, 137th NOTAM for July. For the Birmingham, AD just stands for aerodrome. It's a classification of NOTAM. The airport's airport beacon is not standard. It really doesn't say what is not standard about the beacon. I don't know what it is, but it started happening July 24 of 2026 at 7:25 UTC, and it is expected to continue until August 8th of 2026 at 7:25, again, UTC. Okay, cool. Let's look at some NOTAMs at LaGuardia here. Okay, tell me about this NOTAM here. Okay, this is for LaGuardia, and it's, again, July, the 411 NOTAM of July. At LaGuardia Airport, runway 1331 is closed, and it is closed on July 25 from 10 UTC till July 26 at 0100 UTC. Doesn't say why, but it's a runway closure. Okay. All right. What about this? Okay, so this is another runway for LaGuardia. This one came out in June, and it was the 23rd NOTAM of the month of June. LaGuardia runway 4, the PAPI, or the Precision Approach Path Indicator, is unserviceable. U/S is unserviceable. On the 20th, so it's June 2 of 2026, starting at 11:55 UTC, and it is going to be unserviceable until August 5 of 2026 at 23:59 UTC. Okay, cool. Okay, here's another NOTAM for Birmingham, Alabama. Let's talk about this NOTAM. Tell me about this one. Okay, so this one is an FDC NOTAM. Okay, so that is going to be a procedural type NOTAM, stands for Flight Data Center. And this is a numbering system just for indexing NOTAMs, but it applies to Birmingham Airport. It is applying to an instrument approach procedure there. And it applies to the ILS runway 6, the category 2, and it's amendment 43B of that approach. So for a straight in ILS runway 6 on category 2, this is not authorized except for aircraft equipped with a radio altimeter. And this is because apparently the IBHM, that's the Birmingham ILS on runway 6, the inner marker is out of service at present. So that approach cannot be flown unless the aircraft has a radio altimeter. So, and this NOTAM came out, looks like it began on February 12 of 2026 at 1622 UTC. And this is going to be going on until September 24 at 1617. And that is an estimate. So they don't really know quite yet when that's going to be done, but that's what EST means there at the end. Okay, so that was a lot of questions about NOTAMs. I would honestly expect even more questions about NOTAMs. So make sure you know how to read your NOTAMs, like the valid times, what most of the abbreviations mean in the NOTAM, and be able to read those NOTAMs. It's extremely important. And in my experience in the past, I've had students who didn't know their NOTAMs that well, and then their dispatch oral did not go all that well. Okay, so now let's talk about another item that is on that list, and that is volcanic ash advisories. So I will link to this so you can look at these too, but this is the current list of volcanic ash advisories going on. So I just looked at this volcano here in Mexico. So let us take a look at this, and we'll ask some simulated oral questions about this. So what is a volcanic ash advisory or a volcanic ash warning? What is that about? Okay, so because aircraft do not fly well through volcanic ash activity, it's just not good for them. It is extremely bad for ingesting into jet engines because of the damage that is caused. And I could go into that if you want more detail. But this is issued through a volcanic ash alert and warning system. And there are multiple volcanoes around the world being monitored. And then the alerts are issued through NOAA. And so just looking at this one here in Mexico, we have a graphic of what is the area that the volcanic ash is being observed coming out of this volcano. But you also have some text about it, which I will look at here in a second. And then we have some forecasting of where they're expecting the ash cloud to be going just because of prevailing winds. Okay, so taking a look at this, it's a volcanic ash advisory. This is the area that has supervision over it. The Washington area is the office basically that has supervision of it. What volcano, the position of the volcano, the fact that it's in Mexico, what is the elevation of the volcano, then a numbering system. And then we have the information sources. So the GOES-19, that's a satellite view. Also radio sonde, so like a weather balloon was observed, and various modeling of the atmosphere. And volcanic ash emission was observed in a satellite view, okay? And we have basically what altitude it's at various positions. So like surface to flight level 200, so 20,000 feet, and the locations, and basically a polygon shape of the ash cloud. And it was observed moving to the northwest at 10 knots. That was what was observed, you notice here. And then the forecast position is reported, or forecast, sorry, it's not a report, it's a forecast where they think it will be in 6 hours, time when that is, so that'd be July 24 at 19Z. And we have another position where they think it's going to be, again, from the surface to 20,000 feet, then a 12-hour and an 18-hour. But in the 18-hour forecast, they aren't expecting any more volcanic ash to be happening. So yeah, and then apparently this is like a correction of what they're saying in what altitude in the 12-hour forecast. Anyway, so yeah, light volcanic ash emission was observed in a satellite extending west-northwest, 25 nautical miles from the summit. So that's the position. And where they are estimated from, it looks like Mexico City is MMX from their 12 Zulu release of their radio sonde or their weather balloon, and also other prediction models. And the movement is forecast to move to the west by 6 hours. And then we have the forecaster's name is Clark. And then the next time that they're going to issue another update, there you go. So that's an example of a volcanic ash eruption and how to read that. Okay, let's look at some other weather information. So we have a prog chart. What is the prog chart about here? Okay, so the prog chart, it's a prognostication, basically. It's a forecast of where the weather is forecasted to be at a certain time. So like, for example, this is the United States, and let me just click on this. So you always want to look at the time on here. It's 2026, so July 25 at 12Z. This is the expected position of fronts, pressure systems, isobars, and then we do have this legend of different precipitation possibilities, how likely it is, if it's chance or likely to happen. And we can take a look at that. And again, we can look at the future prog of where they think things will be happening. So that's what this is. And you read it just like a surface weather analysis chart, but like this one is a prog, so it's in the future. Okay, so what is all this yellow here that's in like western Iowa? Okay, so that yellow, that, if you look at the legend again, that's fog. So, and you will also notice they don't have any kind of either chance or likely of fog. It's just, they expect to be fog. What about all this gray stuff up here in North Dakota? Again, from the legend, we can see that's smoke. So from wildfires that are currently burning in Canada, it's expected. But you will also notice everything stops at the border of the US and Canada because this is a US forecast product, besides fronts. I don't know why they forecast fronts and pressure systems in Canada, but they do. But these other items like smoke or rain, these things are not forecasted outside the US-Canada border. Neither do they forecast that in Mexico. Okay. Let's look at the low-level significant weather prog chart. I'm gonna get a good one. Okay, so what is this chart about here? Okay, so this low-level significant weather prog chart is just trying to tell us about areas that might be of note for us if we're flying at a lower altitude. You can notice on here, it is only from the surface to 400 millibar. So the 400 millibar pressure level is the only extent of this chart. And you can see that like right here, it has a valid time. So this is 12 Zulu, also on Saturday, July 25. Yeah, so this is a potential of weather to be aware of on the surface, not up in the atmosphere like the high level significant weather prog, but at the surface. Okay, what is this area here in Texas with the orangey and Oklahoma with the outline? What's that? Okay, so from the legend, I can see that's moderate or greater turbulence, and it is forecast from the surface, because there's nothing on the right, to 7,000 feet. And if you look closely, you can see there's a turbulence symbol on there. I'm having to look close at my screen, sorry. Okay, what is all this bubbled blue area here? Also in Texas. Okay, so if you look at the legend, that says it is a ceiling of 1,000 to 3,000 feet inclusive and or visibility 3 to 5 miles inclusive. Basically, that is a forecasted area where it might be marginal VFR. That right there is the definition of marginal VFR flight conditions. Okay, what are this line that is going like through the middle of Montana? Okay, the blue light dashed line, that is the freezing level, and it is labeled with 160. So that is the freezing level is forecasted to be at 16,000 feet. MSL in that area along that line. Okay, what about the red? What is that? Okay, so the red is, you can see on the legend, ceiling less than 1,000 feet and or visibility less than 3 in that area, and that is the definition of IFR. Okay, cool. Let's talk about air mets. Okay, so air mets, what are air mets about? I'm gonna load this so we can see it. Okay, so air mets are issued for things that might affect mostly smaller aircraft, but it could matter to me as an aircraft dispatcher as well. There used to be 3 different letters that went with them. There still are 3 different categories of what caused them, but the letters were actually like retired recently. So airmets are issued for icing and freezing levels for areas of IFR, instrument flight rules, weather conditions, and extensive mountain obscuration. So basically poor visibility, poor low ceilings, and then turbulence. That is moderate or greater, and icing is moderate or greater. So that's what airmets are about. And like, for example, if we look at one of them, here is an example of an airmet for icing. We have that it came out, it's valid from July 24 at 18Z to, it's actually doesn't really have an end time on it, but it is issued here, and it is moderate ice from 15,000 to 27,000 feet MSL. That's really all that tells me about on there. If you click on another one, we can look at another one. Okay, so read this airmet for me. Okay, so here's another airmet. This one's for instrument weather conditions, and we have the valid times again, and then it is, reason is ceilings below 1,000 feet and visibility below 3 statute miles due to precipitation and mist. That's what PCPN and BR mean. What about this one? Okay, yeah, I can read that. That is a airmet for turbulence. It's a high altitude one, and with the times again, but it is moderate turbulence between 35,000 feet MSL and 42,000 feet. Okay, awesome. All right, so I think that we have basically gone through pretty much everything I can think of to really go through on this list, besides saying that you do need to know your weather, and your examiner is likely going to give you scenario-based questions having to do with the flight plan you're assigned to plan for your practical test. So make sure you are really hitting the books for the weather. Check out my other content regarding aviation weather. Check out my courses on my website. If you join as a channel member, you get a special discount code for the online courses. Love to see you guys signing up so you get first access and the live streams and input into videos that I have upcoming topics, and just supporting my work and helping other aviators and aviation professionals. Thank you for watching Aviation 101 with Laura. Have a fantastic day.